It is not often you see moments of bipartisanship in Washington these days, but many House Democrats, though not all, joined together with their Republican counterparts earlier today to block a measure to move forward with impeachment of President Trump. After Democrat Al Green read his measure aloud, the House voted 364 to 58 to table it. Here now to discuss, former senior Hillary Clinton advisor Philippe Reines and Ron Bonjean, a former chief of staff to the Senate Republican Conference. Great to have you both.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right, so just so we know what we're talking about, I want to play a little bit of what Congressman Green had to say today about impeaching President Trump.
Donald John Trump has, by his statements, brought the high office of President of the United States in contempt, ridicule, disgrace, and disrepute, has sown discord among the people of the United States, has demonstrated that he is unfit to be president, and has betrayed his trust as President of the United States to the manifest injury of the people of the United States.
All right, Philippe, I'm going to start with you. Is any of that, do you think, true? And does it rise to the level of an impeachable offense?
Some of it I agree with. Some of it I think it's not right or wrong. It's just an observation. But I think what's interesting here is that there really is not a set definition of what is or isn't impeachable. The Constitution.
High crimes and misdemeanors.
Okay, but high crimes and misdemeanors does not necessarily mean a crime. If President Trump were to go live in Mar-a-Lago year-round and never do his job, that's an impeachable offense. If he were to go shoplift at Whole Foods, that's not necessarily an impeachable offense. So there is and I don't mean to be legalistic about it, but people are going to take different interpretations of what it is. Some people think that his behavior and his erraticism and his acting out is a basis for it. I think what you've seen this week are more people coming forward, more Democrats mostly, in light of John Dowd, his attorney's statement, and thinking, okay, this is obstruction. I think people are going to, on a rolling basis, come to the conclusion of whether they think there's something there or not.
Yeah, 58 of them today voted.
A month from now, it could be 158.
It might, but let me just read a little bit of the part of the articles of impeachment that he included. He said, on October 22nd, 2017, Donald John Trump made a public statement substantially as follows. Wacky Congresswoman Wilson is the gift that keeps on giving for the Republican Party. A disaster for Dems. You watch her in action and vote R. Thereby casting contempt on an African-American female member of Congress, inciting hate and hostility and sowing discord among the people of the United States. He called her wacky, Ron.
This whole thing is wacky. Like, this doesn't make any sense. It's the impeachment vote today was a needless distraction. And it, frankly, is a gift to Republicans, because Republicans are trying to get things done. We just passed tax reform, and Democrats are over here in a corner, 58 of them, supporting impeaching the President of the United States, when we're actually trying to get real work done. What this also does is undermines the liberal left-wing billionaire activist Tom Steyer, who has lots of commercials on lots of cable news networks right now pushing for an impeachment of the President. I think that completely undercuts it. Doesn't make any sense to me while they're doing this. I understand that there may be fundraising purposes, and these 58 folks going back to the districts to say that they tried to do something about it, but in the end, nothing's going to happen here.
Well, and the leadership basically was saying, we're not for this, let's move on, we do have things to do. I want to get real quick reaction from both of you, though. Remarks by former President Obama saying, we have to tend this garden of democracy or else things could fall apart quickly, referring to the Holocaust and to Nazi Germany, apparently saying 60 million people died, so you've got to pay attention and vote. Philippe, when Republicans talk about Nazi or Hitler like that, it literally feels like all hell breaks loose, but no one seems too upset about President Obama invoking it. He never said.
Well, I'm going to guess if I was sitting at home tonight watching Fox all night that hell is breaking loose over that comment. Yes, but I do think that shows the depth of concern people have about what they're seeing. I mean, this is President Obama, like him or not. He is a pretty level-headed guy. In fact, even by supporters, he was called too level-headed. I think he was called Dr. Spock by some. For him to say something like that, I think it really does reflect what a lot of people are feeling. And to go back to what we're talking about in impeachment, I do think we should give people the benefit of the doubt, not just in Congress, but around the country. There are people who believe the president should be impeached because they don't like what's happening in the country. It's not because tax reform did or didn't pass, repeal or not. And I think you're seeing a little bit of that in that comment.
We got to go. So quick 10 seconds from you, Ron, on the invoking Nazi Germany.
Well, I just think it's a mistake to ever say Nazis or Hitler or anything like that. I don't think it's appropriate. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are supporting Republicans, supporting the president for getting things done.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Philippe and Ron, good to see you both.
Thank you.
You can go back to your Twitter.
We're in a Twitter war.
They're in a Twitter war. Tune in and you can see more. All right, against the backdrop of war games, nuclear threats, and almost no Russian competitors, what can American athletes expect from the 2018 Winter Games in North Korea? Leland Vittert is here with a preview. Hey, Leland.
Oh, evening, Shannon. Not a warm welcome from the North Koreans, that's for sure. The North Koreans are now saying the outbreak of war on the Korean Peninsula is an established fact. And that threat is clearly changing the U.S. calculus about a lot of things, including the Olympics and whether the U.S. team will show up. The 2018 Winter Games kick off 2 months from now in South Korea, and some of the Olympic venues are just 40 miles from the DMZ. That puts them well within range of an incredible amount of North Korean firepower. And while the venues are ready, the U.S. ambassador to the UN left open the possibility going there might not be a good idea.
There's an open question. I have not heard anything about that, but I do know that in the talks that we have, whether it's Jerusalem, whether it's North Korea, it's always about how do we protect the U.S. citizens in the area. And so those are conversations that are happening daily.
Would you feel comfortable sending family members if they were athletes on our team?
I think it depends on what's going on at the time in the country. We have to watch this closely, and it's changing by the day.
Well, the Wall Street Journal reports ticket sales for the games are sluggish, to say the least. And video of U.S. war games over the Korean Peninsula are not exactly what a tourism board would hope for as a promotional film. This week, U.S. and South Korean forces flew hundreds of fighter jets together in a show of force and resolve. Along with the stealth fighters, there was supposed to be a pair of U.S. B-1B supersonic bombers based in Guam and likely part of any U.S. first strike on the north. As I said, supposed to be a pair of bombers. That would be 2 bombers. Turns out, Shannon, the show of force was also an abject lesson in the state of U.S. military readiness. There was only one B-1B bomber. The other was stuck on the runway in Guam with a mechanical problem.
Yeah, Leland, we've talked a great deal on this channel about our military having a tough time getting readiness done with many of these major aircraft. So thank you very much. Good to see you.
Ma'am.
All right, the House passes a major gun rights bill, but it's not without its critics, including some gun rights advocates. We're going to explain their concerns next.
You might take something for your heart or joints, but do you take something for your brain? With an